Good morning. Looks like we're having some camera difficulties here. Let me figure that out. So, just give me a second here. Let's see if we can get this connected. If not, we will have a cameraless moment this morning. Let's see. All right, here we go. Let's see. Come on. There we go. All right. Good morning. Welcome to 10 Minutes in the Text. I am Ted Doering, the pastor of Narrative Church in Round Rock. Each week we work to get through some of our text for the coming Sunday. So we're in a sermon series called Asking for a Friend. This week we're saying, how do I hear God? And we're going to look into that. So we're going to look at Job this morning and the book of Luke. We'll also have another reading from Colossians, but the book of Luke is so long, I want to focus in on that this morning. So Job, behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I do not perceive him. On the left hand, when he is working, I do not behold him. He turns to the right hand, but I do not see him. But he knows the way I take. When he has tried me, I shall come out as gold. Now this, we're talking about hearing God. And I chose this scripture from Job because Job here doesn't sense God, right? In these first couple verses, I don't see him. And so here we have Job who suffers, who's struggling, all of these things. But he says here, I don't see him, but he knows every way I take. When he has tried me, I shall come out as gold. So when we talk about hearing from God, oftentimes we think about, well, I don't hear God. I don't know where he is. And so this is a look at saying, oh, other people didn't hear God. What does that mean? How do we dive in to that? Now let's look at Luke 24. This is the road to Emmaus. So Jesus has risen and he meets up with some of his disciples. While they were talking and discussing together, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were kept from recognizing him. So you have these disciples and they don't see Jesus. They're walking with him, but they don't see him. Right? So, walking down the road. And he said to them, what is the conversation that you are holding with each other as you walk? And they stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, named Cleopas, answered him, are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days? And so here they're coming from Jerusalem after the crucifixion, right? We're going to say cross, so I don't have to spell crucifixion. And Jesus says to them, and obviously he knows what's going on, but he says to them, what things? And they said to him concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all people, and how our chief priests and rulers delivered him up to be condemned to death and crucified him. And so here we have this piece, and it's them explaining to Jesus, right? So they're explaining to him what has happened. They're telling what has happened to him, right? But we had hoped he was the one to redeem Israel. So here we had hoped that he was the one to what? Redeem Israel. So there's hopelessness here. So they said, this is what we had hoped, but now we don't know if that's true or not. Yes, besides this, it is now the third day since these things have happened. Moreover, women of our company amazed us. They were at the tomb early in the morning. So, Now notice, this is the third day since these things have happened, and we're going to break out some green to double underline that. Why? This is the day of Jesus' resurrection. Yes, they were at the tomb, and when these things happened, moreover, I double copied there. And when they did not find his body, they came back saying that they had even seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. So here, these guys walking don't know, right? They don't know about the resurrection yet. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the woman had said, but him they did not see. Okay, so they didn't see Jesus. Now remember, these are disciples, but not named of the apostles. So these are maybe not the top guys, and so they're trying to process it, but they're kind of just walking down this road. And he said to them, O foolish ones and slow to heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things to enter into his glory? Now this is key. This is the verse. This is why. Now the whole road to Emmaus is an incredible, incredible thing. But this is awesome here. And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted them to them in the scriptures, the things concerning himself. So here we talk about hearing from God, and Jesus explains everything, right? So he explains it to them, and then he eats with them. So this is a couple verses later. So we're ending here in verse 27. We jump ahead to 30 and 31. When he was at table with them, he took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. And he vanished from their sight. So their eyes were opened. And this is going to be a key. How do we hear from God? Well, we hear from God from his word, right? Now we have the word, the Bible, God's revealed story to us, but we also have the word, which is Jesus, and he reveals what's in the Bible, right? That's what we have, this breakdown of and beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the scriptures and all the things concerning himself. So this is how we hear how God's working is we have Jesus who interprets and works through the scriptures. Looking forward to Sunday morning. Hope to see you there. Have a blessed week until then.